Hey friends, it's James. If you've been wanting to start a garden this spring, whether on a balcony, a rooftop, a windowsill, or perhaps in a community garden plot, this video is for you. Today, I'm walking you through everything you actually need to get started. Not the complicated stuff, not the expensive stuff, just the simple, reliable tools and planning steps that will help set you up for success. I garden in containers on my roof and in a small community garden plot here in Chicago. So everything I'm sharing works beautifully for small spaces and cold climates too. Let's get into it. Now, before we talk tools, I want to clear up a misconception. Spring gardening doesn't start in spring. It starts now. It starts whenever you're ready. It starts in the winter, it starts in the summer. I like to start in winter, long before the soil is warm. This early planning gives you a few things: better plant choices, time to get excited and let your anticipation grow, less overwhelmed when it's actually time to plant, and a garden that feels intentional instead of rushed. And honestly, it just makes gardening so much more enjoyable. Your first assignment, if you're brand new, is simple. Find a seed catalog. Any catalog will do, but I personally love Baker Creek and Seed Saver Exchange. But really, any seed catalog will get you started. You don't have to commit to anything yet because you're just exploring possibilities. When I started gardening, I felt intimidated by the idea of choosing varieties. But seed catalogs, I think, make it fun. A good catalog can help you understand which plants grow well in containers, which need full sun, which are fast or slow growers, and which might be easier for beginners. So spend some time imagining, because I think that's the most fun part of the process. Okay, now if you want a head start on spring, you'll likely be starting some seeds indoors. And here's what I think you'll need and what you probably won't. One of my favorite tools is my galvanized seed starting tray. And here's why. There's no plastic involved. It has a clean, reusable aesthetic and lasts for years, and it pairs beautifully with fine cococoya, my preferred seed starting medium. I like to moisten or hydrate the cococoya, then pack it tightly and sow seeds directly on top. This method feels grounding and very hands-on for me, and I just love it. So if you enjoy the process as much as the outcome, it's a really great option, and I see that from personal experience. But if you want something easier and almost foolproof, start here. A domed seed starting tray with peat pellets, they're a great option. You can find them at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, most garden centers, and they're really inexpensive. Tidy, efficient, perfect for small apartment counters, and easy enough for kids and beginners to use successfully. Many kits hold 36, 72 seedlings even, which is more than enough to fill a balcony garden or a community plot. That's a lot of plants, which means if you lose some before transferring them to the garden, you'll still likely have plenty of extras, not only for yourself, but to share. Both approaches work beautifully, so choose the one that matches your personality: hands-on and tactile, or simple and structured. Now, if you start seeds early, and in my climate, I'd consider that February or March, even April, your seedlings will probably outgrow their starter trays long before the last frost. And this is normal. Seedlings grow fast and they need room. Preparing for that now, before up-potting becomes urgent, can make all the difference. You'll know it's past time to up-pot when roots begin circling or growing into your neighboring seedling space. Their leaves, their stems start crowding, getting all tangly with each other, and trays start to dry out more quickly, needing to be checked on more than once a day. And plants start to look slightly stressed. They begin to lose that new seedling energy. This just means it's time to up-pot, to move each seedling into a small container with fresh soil. If you skip this step, seedlings can stall, become leggy, or simply fail. So when you're planning your garden, assume there will be at least 2 stages, maybe even more. Seed starting, that's inside those small cells or pellets, and then there's up-potting, preferably into 3 to 4 inch nursery pots. And if you don't have those lying around, I found that poking holes into the bottom of a bunch of red Solo cups from the grocery store can work in a pinch. And trust me, if you plan for this now and prepare for this stage so that you're ready for it, your plants will thank you. Now, As I've mentioned, I garden in Chicago, which is considered roughly Zone 6A, depending on the neighborhood, on the USDA's Plant Hardiness Zone map. You can find these online, and many seed packets or catalogs will even have a small version you can consult. But here's what really matters. Your zone doesn't tell you what to plant. It tells you when to plant. And your area's lost frost date is your anchor. Most warm season crops, think tomatoes, peppers, basil, can't go outside until after that date. So if your frost date is, let's say, May 10th, then starting tomatoes 6 to 8 weeks before then gives you great seedlings. Even starting them 10 to 12 weeks beforehand is something some folks do. Just keep in mind, it means at least one or more guaranteed uppotting stages, and you may want to consider adding a grow light to keep your starts from becoming overly leggy. And if all of that just sounds like too much work, I hear you. Then starting them 3 to 4 weeks before is also totally fine. Your plants will just be smaller, but they'll likely catch up in no time anyway. There's not really a wrong approach here, just choices, and planning now helps you choose intentionally. Now, let's talk a little bit about seed organization. If you only grow a few plants, you probably don't need this yet, but once you start branching out, think herbs, greens, flowers, tomatoes, peppers, seed organization becomes a real lifesaver. I use a simple metal box with compartments. It helps me keep leftover seeds, stay aware of what I have, plan successions. It also helps me decide whether to swap seeds with friends and might help you to save a little money by not buying duplicates. Also, I find that, especially as a container gardener, I rarely use a full packet of seeds in one season. So having a place for partial packets to live makes everything easier for me. Now, this is the most underrated tool of all, in my opinion. A garden journal or notebook. You can use a notebook, a sketchbook, a digital notes app, anything that feels comfortable for how you like to write outside in the garden. I don't like the glare on my digital devices, so a small notebook is what works for me. And I use it to track a variety of things like planting dates, varieties, germination rates, any problems I encounter with any particular plants or varieties throughout the growing season, even what just tasted great in the garden. Was there a tomato variety that stood out to you? I also keep track of what failed. For example, I tried the same variety of tomatoes 3 years in a row, and each year I struggled with blossom end rot, even though it didn't impact any others of the tomato varieties I was growing. So I simply stopped growing that variety. This is how you avoid repeating mistakes, how you discover patterns in your garden, and how you develop real gardening wisdom. And in my opinion, it enriches the whole experience and can help you see how you've grown over time when you look back through it in future years. If you're starting a garden this spring or this summer, here's the simplest way to think about it. First, dream a little. Flip through seed catalogs and give yourself the time to luxuriate making your choices. Choose your starting method, whether that's something like a reusable galvanized tray like I use or an inexpensive domed kit. Know your frost date and assess your risk tolerance for loss when deciding how safe or aggressive you might want to be at planting time. Expect to uppot if you start early and anticipate where you'll store those large pots, both indoors and when it's time to start hardening them off outside. And finally, stay organized. Whether that means a seed organizer and or a journal, you'd be surprised at how helpful these little tools can be. Everything else is optional. Gardening doesn't have to be complicated. I just think it's a lot more rewarding if it's intentional. And if you'd like support through the whole process, from choosing your seeds to starting them, uppotting, troubleshooting, and getting them outside, I'd love to welcome you into the free Pistils and Pollen plant care community. It's inside our mobile app, and it's where hundreds of gardeners from beginners to experts are growing together this season. And if you want even more structure and support, you can always join our VIP Plant Pals community, where we have regular meetups, challenges, and dive deeper into conversations. Wherever you're gardening, rooftop, balcony, backyard, or community garden plot, you can do this, and I'm excited to grow alongside you.